You know, in high school I was in a lot of different bands and things like that, so I was creating album art and t-shirt graphics and stuff. I think a lot of people get started that way because, you know, like the bands are looking to not spend a lot of money, but there's so many, you know, good artists out there that can get their start doing t-shirt graphics and can really build a portfolio that way. So yeah, I was the same way. My name's Chris Parks. I go by Pale Horse. I have a studio here in St. Petersburg, Florida. Been doing it for about 7 years. Had a studio in St. Pete, and the way that I got into it was went to school for graphic design. I went to Ringling School of Art and Design. Graduated there in 2002, and then was working at a product design studio. Really liked it, but on the side I was also doing a lot of work for like surf and skate companies, doing freelance work, t-shirts, you know, surf graphics and skate graphics and all that kind of stuff, and as well as doing work for different bands that I was in and friends' bands and things like that. Started building up clients over about 4 years where I was working at the agency, and then decided to go out on my own, kind of take the leap and open a studio with a partner. Yeah, so my style is like an evolution of over the years of, I think it comes a lot from creating artwork for t-shirt graphics. So getting started in that, you know, it's always like you got to think about screen printing, you got to think about how many colors you're using, you know, the line work's got to be thick enough where it doesn't fade out when you print it, you know, that sort of thing. So it kind of forces you to really do bold line work and bold colors and all of that. So getting started with t-shirt graphics and then evolving it over time for, you know, various stuff. I think it still has that kind of look as if it's like a vector graphic or, you know, screen printed type of piece. But now a lot of times, you know, I'll just kind of build on it. So it's gone from t-shirt graphics to doing stuff for gallery shows and kind of pulling that, you know, still using that same type of style, but like evolving it over time. So right now I use mostly Photoshop for my illustration work. So I use Illustrator a lot for typography. So I kind of in a kind of a strange place where I started out with graphic design and now I mainly do illustration work for clients. But I love typography and layout and all that kind of stuff. So I kind of bring all of those things together in my works. Yeah, what I really get excited about is, you know, when I'm traveling and you see new things, you know, like I love going to Asia. Been to Thailand a couple times, been to Hong Kong and China, mainland China, and also Japan. So like that's where I really like to, you know, I think that's when you stop like thinking so much and you're just open to looking around, you know, and seeing things for the first time, and that's when ideas come for me, you know. So traveling to Asia really kind of sunk in with me, and I, you know, I just love statues and temples and, you know, ancient civilizations and cultures and stories. Big things for me would be like, you know, I love mythology, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Religion comes into a lot of my work too. You know, spirituality, you know, just the idea of that, you know, even like, you know, even the idea of like, you know, hallucinogenics over the years and how that works into cultures and things like that. So I like to kind of pull all those things together and kind of make my own versions of them. I also like to mix cultures together, you know. So like another idea, when I was in Mexico, like I have a lot of pieces that are kind of lucha libre, you know, Mexican wrestlers and all that kind of stuff. So when I went to when I went to Mexico, I had never drawn luchadors or anything like that. I always was, into it. I thought it was cool. But then when I went to Tijuana, you're just going around to all these different vendors, and they've got like luchador masks hanging up next to a gaudy painting of Jesus and Mary, or like velvet paintings and all that stuff, which I think is super cool. So I just kind of saw those two and was like, I want to mix them together. Why can't there be, Jesus Christos Mysterio Jr.
Oh,
So,
yeah.